So as everyone's talking about just how weird Donald Trump and J.D. Vance and this entire MAGA movement is, cue Melania Trump. And here's what she decided to post yesterday. She goes, "Becoming an American citizen is an achievement that inspired my ongoing commitment to this great nation. Today marks the 18th anniversary of this personal milestone." And then it's a link to her statement. But as our editor-in-chief Ron Filipkowski explains, it's now a good time to remember the speech from about 8 months ago that was given by Melania Trump when she talked about what a struggle it was to try and remain in the U.S. and get her citizenship, but then ultimately her journey was streamlined by expensive lawyers that were hired for her. Funny how that happens for the privileged few. Now, this was a speech that she gave at the Library of Congress for immigrants who were here and waiting, who did not have the resources she did. And just watch Melania's messaging here. One, why is she giving this speech in the first place? And it's almost like she's bragging that she's rich and got to expedite the process for herself. Watch this bizarre speech. And then I want to talk about the messaging, though, coming from Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans at the Republican National Convention. While Melania is posting that, Donald Trump gave a speech this weekend. And in that speech, Donald Trump said, you know what he wants to do? He said he wants to create a fight league where professional UFC fighters get to attack the migrants as part of his mass deportation operation that he wants to carry out. We'll tie this all together, so buckle up. But first, here's what Melania said 8 months ago. Listen to her.
There are nuances of understanding the United States immigration laws and the complex legal language contained therein. I was very devoted, but I certainly was not an attorney. And eventually, it proved critical for me to retain counsel. I was fortunate to do so, as ultimately my journey was streamlined and brought me over the finish line as a naturalized citizen.
All right, now let's rewind a little bit. Where did Donald Trump meet Melania? How did he meet her? Well, in the late 1990s, this guy, Paolo Zampoli, was the person who was the matchmaker. Who's Paolo Zampoli? Well, he ran what he called a modeling agency where he would bring in young women from Eastern Europe as part of his modeling agency. And then Paolo Zampoli would throw events in New York City at a place called the Kit Kat Club, where the younger Eastern European women would meet the wealthy Manhattan businessmen, and he would kind of play matchmaker fortuitously as part of this modeling agency. Here's Paolo Zampoli right here. Here's how the New York Times described this whole process, that Paolo Zampoli secured Miss Trump's visa to the United States and introduced her to her future husband at a 1998 party he hosted at the Kit Kat Club. Mr. Zampoli's parties have featured an alligator, tiger cubs, and models at nightclubs blowing kisses at fashion television cameras. He flew with Mr. Trump on his jet to attend the mogul's wedding at Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach, Florida. There, he said, I was introduced to Hillary and Huma, referring to Huma Abedin, whom he said he knew from events in New York. And so then all of a sudden, you have Melania's visa gets expedited. She gets an Einstein visa, and she gets to completely cut the line. And then what does she do after? Well, then she gets her parents' citizenship through a process that Donald Trump has disparaged as chain migration, which Donald Trump is trying to block. And Donald Trump tried to block and has promised to block in addition to mass deportation. So Donald Trump used the pathway to bring in Melania's parents after she got an Einstein visa. She's not talented at all. And Donald Trump's trying to block that process. Now, let's not forget the details here. We don't forget these details at the MeidasTouch Network. Now, You remember back in 2016 when reporters were raising issues, or when these issues arose about how did Melania get an Einstein visa, right? And this was at the time that Melania and Trump and everyone was attacking former President Obama and spreading deranged conspiracies about him. So Donald Trump said that he was going to hold a press conference to discuss Melania's immigration status. He never did that, and the press, because they're lazy and they were trying to help Donald Trump, then never asked any questions. Watch Donald Trump. This is from September of 2016, before the election. As the media was relentlessly attacking Hillary Clinton, Trump said, we're going to hold a press conference, which he never did. Play the clip.
Maybe she came in illegally, maybe. Let me tell you one thing. She has got it so documented, so she's going to have a little news conference over the next couple of weeks. That's good. That's good. I love it. I love it. They said, Melania Trump may have come into our country illegally, and how would that be for Donald Trump to be talking? Here's the only problem. She came in totally legally. I mean, so that's what I'm saying. All right, but you'll see it in a little while. I said to her, no, let it simmer for a little while. Let them go wild. Let it simmer.
And then remember when Melania also said this? Here, play the clip.
The facts are that I always obey the law. I have all the documents. I have very clean past. I would never stage here on the as undocumented.
And this was at the time where Melania was attacking in a very racist and repeated way former President Obama. Here, play this clip.
But what is this with the birth certificate obsession? Did he ask to see yours when you met him?
I needed to put mine anyway, because if you want to become an American citizen, you need to put the birth certificate.
Right.
I have a birth certificate from Slovenia. And do you want to see President Obama birth certificate or not?
I've seen it.
It's not the birth certificate.
Well, it's a certificate of live birth,
right,
which they get. But Melania, if he insists on what he's saying, then no one in Hawaii can ever run for president, because they all get the same live birth certificate.
Well, but they need to have...
Midler is finished, for example.
They need to have, and in one way, it will be very easy if President Obama just show it, and because it's not only Donald who wants to see it. It's American people who voted for him and who didn't vote for him. They want to see that.
But it's on display in Chicago. We've seen it on the internet. We've seen it. It's not the same as yours, but it's a certificate of live birth.
Well, we feel it's different than birth certificate.
All right. Well, I think you should give it up at this point.
Well, it's not. It's not him that it's bringing up. It's the media all the time.
And then, because we are also talking about the weirdness of the MAGA movement, then Melania, at the convention speech in 2016, just plagiarizes word for word the speech of Michelle Obama. Watch this. This was the 2016 RNC speech, word for word plagiarizing Michelle Obama's speech from 8 years earlier. Watch this.
The values that you work hard for what you want in life.
For what you want in life.
That your word
That your word is your bond. That you do what you say you're going to do.
Keep your promise.
That you treat people with dignity and respect, and because we want our children and all children in this nation to know that the only limit to the height of your achievements is the reach of your dreams and your willingness to work hard for them.
And then, of course, we know that Melania was then on audio recording from her former best friend, who's friends now with the MeidasTouch network, Stephanie Winston Walkoff, where Melania starts saying, F the children, F the kids. Here, play this clip.
And they said, oh, what about the children? They were separated. Give me a break. Where they were saying anything when Obama did that?
I know.
I cannot go. I was trying to get the kid reunited with the mom. I didn't have a chance. It needs to go through the process and through the law.
And okay, Melania saying F the kids, F the children. That's probably something Donald Trump took literally, because here are the statements that Donald Trump has said about Ivanka.
She does have a very nice figure. I've said that if Ivanka weren't my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her.
Okay, Ivanka, what's the favorite thing you have in common with your father?
Either real estate or golf.
Donald, with your daughter?
Well, I was going to say sex, but I can't relate that. I weren't happily married. And, you know, her father.
My daughter, Ivanka.
Yeah.
She's 6 feet tall. She's got the best body.
By the way, your daughter.
She's beautiful.
Can I say this? A piece of ass.
Yeah.
She looks more voluptuous than ever.
She's actually always been very voluptuous. She's tall. She's almost 6 feet.
You going up the escalator? I'm going to be dating her in 10 years. Can you believe it?
Then with past as prologue, let's catch you up to the modern moment, although should also be noted that Donald Trump and Melania would hang out with Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. Can't forget that, of course. That's who the Trumps are. There's photos of them together. Okay, so the main sign, the main message at the RNC, mass deportations, send them back, send them back. Those were the chants that were going on over and over again. Steve Bannon, one of Donald Trump's closest advisors and aides, says, this is why we're doing Project 2025. Mass deportations are going to start. That's Trump's plan. This is Steve Bannon's word. Play the clip.
This is why we talk so much about like Project 2025, that, this is where the work gets done. These radicals have gamed the system so that we get 10 million illegal alien invaders. And no, they're not newcomers. Newcomers would imply that they're going to stick around. They're not sticking around. They're going to get mass deportations are going to start. If you don't like that, then don't vote for President Trump.
Here's what Donald Trump has had to say about launching the largest domestic deportation operation in American history on day one. Play the clip.
On day one of my administration, I will terminate every open border policy of the Biden administration, and we will begin the largest domestic deportation operation in American history, because we have no choice. We have no choice.
And here's what Donald Trump said this past weekend. This is what Donald Trump said when he was giving a speech in Minnesota, where he talked about how he wants to create a fight league for UFC fighters to attack migrants. Here, play the clip.
I told Dana White, UFC, do we love Dana White? How good was he at the convention? I said, Dana, I have a great idea. Take your great championship fighters from all over the world, you're champions right now, but start another league, called it an illegal migrant league. And then take the best of those fighters and let them fight. I believe the migrants will win. I think it's crazy. You know, I told that little sort of sarcastic joke. The press went crazy with it. He wants to start a migrant league. He wants to start a migrant league.
And just so you go, whoa, that's just one time that he said. No, he says that in most of his speeches. Like, here's a speech he gave in Washington, D.C. recently, in the past few weeks, where he said the same thing. This is part of his stump speech. Play the clip.
Tough. They're so tough. Dana White. Did anyone ever hear of Dana White? He's a legend, right? UFC, ultimate fighter, ultimate fighting. And he's a fantastic man. I said, Dana, I have an idea. Why don't you set up a migrant league of fighters and have your regular league of fighters, and then you have the champion of your league. These are the greatest fighters in the world. Fight the champion of the migrants. I think the migrant guy might win. That's how tough they are. He didn't like that idea too much, but actually it's not the worst idea I've ever had.
And by the way, I want to give you a trigger warning, because what I'm about to show you is Dana White hitting his wife. But this is one of Trump's closest friends. This is the guy who introduced Donald Trump at the Republican National Convention this year, Dana White. Play the clip. Okay, now that we are peeling back the layers after Melania's post that she made, taking a look at Donald Trump's views on immigration and the types of things that he says, here's Donald Trump giving a near verbatim quote to Adolf Hitler, where Donald Trump says that immigrants are poisoning the blood of our country. Here, play this clip.
We got a lot of work to do. They're poisoning the blood of our country. That's what they've done. They poison mental institutions and prisons all over the world, not just in South America, not just the 3 or 4 countries that we think about, but all over the world. They're coming into our country from Africa, from Asia, all over the world. They're pouring into our country. Nobody's even looking at them. They just come in. The crime is going to be tremendous. The terrorism is going to be, and then we built a tremendous piece of the wall.
By the way, we've prepared at the MeidasTouch Network a graphic right here, and you could take a screenshot of it if you want it, but I'm sure you've seen this graphic circulate. We prepared it to show you all of the statements that Donald Trump makes that are almost verbatim quotes of Adolf Hitler. Hitler said, "I will get rid of the communist vermin." Trump said, "I will get rid of the communist vermin. I will take care of the enemy within." Trump says, "I will take care of the threat from within." Hitler goes, "Jews and migrants are poisoning Aryan blood." Trump goes, "Migrants are poisoning the blood of our country. One people, one realm, one leader." Trump goes, "One people, one family, one glorious nation." So you pull back the layers here. You start with Melania's post. And then you take a look at the behavior of Trump and MAGA. I want to leave you with this, though. This is the Democratic governor of Minnesota, Governor Walz, and here's what he has to say. I thought it was a very powerful statement. Here, play this clip.
But these guys are just weird. That's who they are. So it isn't much else. Don't give them the power. Look, are they a threat to democracy? Yes. Are they going to take our rights away? Yes. Are they going to put people's lives in danger? Yes. Are they going to endanger the planet by not dealing with climate change? Yes. They're going to do all that. But don't lift these guys up like they're sometimes heroes. Everybody in this room knows, I know it as a teacher, a bully has no self-confidence. A bully has no strength. They have nothing. The fascists depend on fear. The fascists depend on us going back. But we're not afraid of weird people. We're a little bit creeped out, but we're not afraid. But look, and then as you heard this, and one day ago, a poll came out and showed Kamala Harris up 10 points and Donald Trump getting his ass handed to him here in Minnesota. So, sorry. But he's here today in the state of hockey to complete his trifecta. He lost in 16, he lost in 20, he loses in 24.
Well, let me know what you think about all of this, but Melania opening the door there, and we're just going to show you the facts about Donald Trump and what she said, how she got her process expedited, and what Donald Trump's views are, and I think it's important you know all of that. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 3 million.
Hey Midas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.